The next artist we're going to look at is Magritte, one of my personal favorites. One of the reasons I like Magritte is because I think he finds a way to kind of marry the idea of surrealism as something very odd with something very cerebral at the same time. And we're looking at probably his most famous image here, which is the treachery of images. So, just like the persistence of memory, you'll note that the title here is kind of fun because it's implying to you that, again, you shouldn't trust things. He's saying that, images are treacherous, that sometimes what you think you're seeing is not what you're seeing. Or what you expect to see is not actually there. That you have to look closer and think more closely about these things. So in this piece, you have an image of a pipe, and then you have the French phrasing "Ceci n'est pas un pipe," which means this is not a pipe. So here's the fun part, right? He's showing you a pipe, but then he's telling you verbally it's not a pipe, right? So he's playing with the semantics of language. He's playing with the idea of imagery and how we assign meaning to it. So this gets into a very deep, actually, sort of a study, which we actually call semiotics. So for those of you who want to go real deep down the rabbit hole, semiotics is about like how we assign meaning to things. How we decide a pipe is a pipe or a cat is a cat. It deals with language. And so he's like, I'm trying to get you to think about how we all agree on how we label things. And then what if we took that comfort away, right? What if we took away the comfort of this is a pipe? You're like, but it is a pipe, right? And so what if you play with that dynamic of what you see and then being told it's not that thing? But here's the more fun part about this too. It actually isn't a pipe. It's a painting of a pipe. So, you can go even further. Just like Dada and Duchamp, you can kind of peel away multiple layers of that onion and keep going further into this and thinking, well, damn, it's actually not a pipe, it's a painting of a pipe. So there you go. And notice this is a different approach than Dali, but again, just it's sort of quirky, it's kind of unique, it's kind of different. And so I always say with Magritte, one of the big things is what we see is not what we see. That's my phrase for him. And you're looking at two different paintings here, human condition and clairvoyance. But again, I think there's this sort of dry humor in them as well about why we are conditioned to see things as we do. In human condition, you'll notice you have this window and then a painting in front of it. You can see the easel, right? You can see the outline of the canvas side. And then, but at the same time, you get this weird, kind of uncomfortable feeling like if you took away the canvas, would there be a void or would the landscape still be there? It's this sort of weird transitioning where you're like, I don't know. Maybe the world is an illusion. Maybe the world isn't what I think it is. And then clairvoyance is one of my favorite paintings ever because it uses language, which I love. Clairvoyance is to see the future. So the man is looking at an egg and he's painting a bird. It's just a fun little play to me on language, meaning, kind of like, you have to understand these things to get the painting fully. So, again, this is a different approach than Dali, but really to me kind of interesting and fun and playing with meaning and signs and symbols. Here's some works that he did that I sort of say are very much about illusion. So you have Empire Light of Light on the left and Son of Man on the right. Son of Man, I always think is sort of this play on Adam and Eve, the apple, where man comes from. It's sort of a reinterpretation of the religious idea of the Garden of Eden, but through surrealist lens. And then the Empire of Light, you're the bottom half of the painting, you're in darkness, there's a street lamp on, and then there's this blue sky above with puffy clouds. So it's disjunctive, meaning, basically it's not making sense. It's fracturing between the two parts of the painting, and you're left sort of as the viewer going, what's happening? By the way, if you're a film person, the shot of the lamp was actually the inspiration for the shot of the priest arriving in The Exorcist. So if you've ever seen William Friedkin's original Exorcist, classic, by the way, if you're into horror, that is the painting is the actual inspiration for Friedkin's shot in that movie of the priest arriving at the house. And again, just some more pieces here about illusion. The one on the right, you'll notice, plays with that idea of like, if you move the canvas or you move the frame, does the image stay static or does it go away? And I love the idea of a window cracking and the landscape, sort of coming to the floor with it. These are some pieces that he did that I think play with time and space rather well. And again, just left you leave you feeling a little unsettled, in that surrealist space of like, what am I really looking at here? Especially the one on the left, reproduction prohibited, where I just always get this eerie feeling like the man's about to turn around, and stare at him. And if you've ever seen the original Evil Dead, that actually happens in that movie. I'm sorry, I think it's actually Evil Dead 2, the one that's actually kind of funny, right? But there's this part of Ash looking in the mirror, and suddenly his reflection turns around and stares at him, and then attacks him, right? So I always wonder if Sam Raimi was inspired by Reproduction Prohibited and kind of the eeriness of that space. Back to thinking about fetishes, through Freudian lens and surrealist lens that Freud provided. Again, red model, we already talked a little bit about this idea of a fetish, like a shoe fetish or a foot fetish, and how he's kind of conflated the two here. And then the rape on the right, I think, is a very brutal and sort of shocking way to sort of deal with the idea of changing the landscape of a portrait. I think he was already making kind of a comment of it on the nude here too. I think he was saying that women are used as nudes in art. They're put on display. They're voyeuristic. They're stared at. They're consumed by the gaze. This idea of shifting that to the face, and in a way, as a woman, for me, kind of maybe addressing. Sometimes, when people don't actually look at your face, they're staring at your body, and you want to be like, yeah, I'm up here. Um, which I think every woman has experienced at some point in their life. So I think he's playing a bit with the idea of the nude, about how women feel under the gaze of others. And again, I think that's an interesting thing to consider as well through a surrealist lens.